Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. And thank you to the Academy for allowing me this opportunity to share my experience and thoughts with you. I really like the title of my talk. It's called Change in the Face of the Pandemic and the Impact of Social Media, because that's what we've all had to do. We've had to modify and adjust our lives because of this pandemic. For example, I was supposed to actually talk about the social media and selfie culture in the 2020 ACA meeting. And of course, as we all know, that got sort of switched around. And that's why I'm talking about this with you all today. I have nothing to disclose. These are my sources. Our objectives today. We're going to very briefly unpack 2020 and the impact of COVID 19 and how that has changed our lives and our practice. I'm going to briefly discuss the power of social media, and I'm definitely not a social media expert. I don't do this for a living, but I've been able to use it as a tool to help my practice grow and thrive despite the pandemic. Actually, now I would say more than half of my new consultations are from social media. So there really is power in it. We're also going to talk about different procedures that are in very high demand during this time and the reasoning why I believe these procedures are seeing such an uptick. And then lastly, we're going to explore new opportunities for growth and building our practice. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in Southern California, did med school in Pomona at Western University, and then I moved to Detroit for 5 years and did my ENT residency there with Michigan State University. After that, I moved to Toronto and I did a fellowship through the AAF PRS and then got tired of the cold. And as soon as I could, moved back to Southern California. I actually joined an ENT group right when I got out in Marina Del Rey. And I was there for about 2 years and just realized that I wasn't fully living up to my full potential. So I decided to go out and start my own practices. I basically signed paperwork for um, two offices, Beverly Hills and Newport Beach, in January of 2020. And then we all know what happened next. This virus has changed our lives permanently in the way we travel, eat, and especially our practices and how we practice medicine. For example, we've had to make some changes such as pre-op COVID testing for all patients, more time between appointments to allow for our cleaning protocols. We've changed the waiting room layout, and we even shut down the Beverly Hills office for 2 months from March until May. And of course, all of this has led to a decrease in revenue, but surprisingly, we have been able to bounce back fairly quickly. And I think it's also because of certain changes that happened because of the pandemic. In this current climate, there is no question that the demand for cosmetic procedures is increasing. And I believe that it's for a number of reasons. And I find this really, really interesting. First and foremost, we are living in a virtual world where both our professional and personal socialization is happening through video conferencing, for example, Zoom. So, I've been part of a Zoom wedding and I've attended a Zoom baby shower and a Zoom birthday party. So we are using this platform in a really new and different way, and we're spending hours of it on it a day, and you're watching yourself animate and something that you probably are not used to, and seeing yourself talk and move and laugh. You're seeing these different lines and wrinkles, and there's unflattering angles, and there's poor lighting, and so this has really been a source of insecurity for a lot of my patients, and they're coming in to get procedures done. In addition, there's this trend towards more self-care, being reflective and taking care of yourself and doing the things that you've always wanted to do that you didn't have time for previously. Also, in that same vein, there's more downtime because there's less social and work obligations. So you do have that time to recover like you didn't before. And then I would also add that there's more disposable income. We're not spending that same money on traveling or eating out. So you have a bit more money to go ahead and get that filler that you've been wanting or whatever other surgical procedure. And with that, social media has become a really important tool. It is a source of comfort and connection for us. And I have just seen so much growth in my practice because of social media. The Global Web Index has indicated that half of internet users aged 16 to 64 all around the world are spending more time on social media, and 23% of those people are spending significantly longer. And I don't know what their metric is exactly for significantly longer, but I have noticed that myself where post pandemic, my screen time has gone up by 25 to 30%. And I do think that this is going to persist post lockdown. I know that by now, most of us will be fully vaccinated and things are starting to open up, but I still think that social media is going to play a really important role in our lives. Again, I am no social media expert, but I just wanted to share with you some insight that I've gained from spending so much time on these different platforms. I do believe that there's something for everyone, and I'll go over a little bit more in detail about each separate platform. But I think it's such an opportunity for us, and it helps you build your practice, whether it be cosmetic surgery or a medical practice. You're able to establish your identity. You can reach a broad audience. For example, one of my TikTok videos has gone viral and has had over 4 million views. There's no way I'd be able to reach 4 million people otherwise. And it gives you credibility and social proof. And you always think about that when you're, driving by, before pandemic, obviously, when you're driving by a really busy restaurant with a line out the door, right? That's social proof. Who knows if it's good or not, but you just have that sort of crowd mentality. And so I'm not saying that that's the most important metric, but having a lot of followers, having a lot of likes, that gives you some credibility. It also gives me an amazing opportunity to network with other facial plastic surgeons from all around the world. I can keep in touch with vendors, reps from the cosmeceutical companies or the laser reps. And then also, very importantly, it is sort of my portfolio of services. So I can post before and afters, and it's a way for patients to see what services I offer. For video content, YouTube is going to be your place. So that is where you can post longer videos, educational little snippets, procedural videos, anywhere from 5 minutes to even up to 30 minutes, I've seen. And with over 2 billion monthly active users that are on it, it's a great way for patients to see you, and then you can post like post-op instructions, things like that. You have a really good conversion rate, because if someone's going to spend that much time watching a video, they're probably going to give your office a call, um, as compared to like a 15-second video or something that you'll have on Instagram or Facebook. The one downside is that to create that high quality video content that someone's going to want to pay attention to and watch, it can get really time consuming and it can be kind of expensive. You have to pay for someone to edit it, or you have to edit it yourself, and then graphics and all that. So it's a little bit tricky, but it is very, very high yield. I have just one video on YouTube that has on lip lifts that has yielded me, countless lip lift patients now just from this one video. Facebook is sort of the OG. I started my Facebook account, back probably med school or undergrad or something like that. So it's been around for a really long time. Again, over 2 billion monthly active users. It's pretty universal in that it has different ways for you to post content. You can do just a regular post, you can post photos, they have live, they have longer video content. This is where you can have targeted ads. They have, I would say their demographic is going to be a little bit older now. My parents are on it, so it's good for my facial aging patients, and they have their different Facebook groups too. If you can get in, say, like, a local moms group for Botox and fillers, that kind of thing. That's a great way to get in with a local market. I would say for me personally, it's been a little bit harder to use. It's a little less user friendly. It just has so many different applications going on that it's been a little bit clunky for me to use. Twitter is a platform for more news related content, short blurbs. It's a way to post updates about your practice or what's going on. With 300 million users and over 145 million daily active users, it's a great place to build authority. You do need to do multiple tweets per day. You really have to stay sort of on top of trends because this is where trending stories are talked about. Again, this is where conversations are had. So you really have to be active on this to make it high yield. For me, Instagram is where I spend a lot of time because visual content is king. And for a facial plastic surgeon, obviously, people want to see photos of my work. And this is a great way to post and to engage with my audience. So there's different ways on Instagram to engage. They have IG stories, you have your regular posts, you have IG reels, which are short format videos, and IGTV, which is longer format videos. Again, here it's visual content. There's over 1 billion monthly active users, so it's a really great opportunity to market. It's popular with millennials, so a lot of the patients that I get from Instagram are my prejuvenation patients in their 30s, getting their Botox, their fillers, lip lifts, things like that, rhinoplasties. Also, just like any other social media platform, it's really important to be consistent. So I have to post, I've been told I need to post daily. I can barely get once a week, but I try to at least post a story on a daily basis. So definitely, again, a time investment. TikTok for me has been the biggest surprise of 2020. I had downloaded it back in like the fall of 2019, posted one video, didn't really understand it, didn't really know how to use the platform. Then deep in the middle of the pandemic in May of 2020, I was actually approached by TikTok to create educational content for them, and they paid me a really small fee, nothing crazy. But then what it did force me to do was create content on a regular basis and post consistently. And I was able to grow my TikTok from 0 followers to now over 200,000 followers in less than a year. I have gotten quite a few consultations and quite a few conversions from TikTok. It is a much younger crowd. It's mostly, I would say, high school and college age students. And so I'm getting mostly rhinoplasties, some, skin texture issues, acne. Those are my patients that I'm getting from TikTok. But like I said before, you can really, this is your chance to go viral. If you post a video, it doesn't have to be as polished as YouTube. It can be short, about 15 seconds long. It doesn't take that long to create, and then you can edit everything within the app. And you can have thousands, millions of hits on it and views, and it's a really great way to, again, connect with viewers, to provide some value, some educational content to the world. And for me, like I said, it's been the biggest surprise so far. Reddit is also something that I wanted to give an honorable mention to because it's a really interesting platform. It is considered a social media platform, and it does have quite a few monthly active users. How it works are it's these forums and subforums or subreddits, and as you may have seen with the whole GameStop fiasco, that it is a really powerful platform, and the users on this, it's very user generated content, and it's a way to engage with other users. It's to discuss topics, and for you in your medical practice, it's a way to answer questions, engage, and educate people and sort of build authority without actually promoting yourself, without actually marketing, because they really don't like that. It's actually, I think, prohibited in most of the forums is to do any type of self promotion. Um, but it is a way, you do have to spend a lot of time on it, hours, I would say, a day. I have colleagues that do spend a lot of time just answering questions on it, but it is a way for patients who normally wouldn't, seek you out. It's a way to engage with them. Let's switch gears now and we'll talk a little bit about some of the procedures that have really seen an uptick during this time. And it's just so interesting. I love understanding not just what's happening, but why it's happening. And we'll discuss that a little bit more in the next few slides. The ASPS came out with their findings from a survey that they did in June of 2020, and they found that there was an increase in demand for cosmetic surgery treatments. And the treatments that were most asked for, in 65% of respondents, they saw an increase in Botox. And then followed by, 44% saw an increase in breast augments, and fillers, and so on, and liposuction and tummy tucks. So this isn't facial plastic surgery, but it's kind of interesting to see because I'm going to compare this in the next slide to what the American Academy of Facial Plastic Surgery has seen in their survey that they send out. In December of 2020, the AAFPRS sent out a survey to all the members, and they compiled this and they released this in February of 2021. And 70% of us have reported an increase in the demand for treatment, so increase in bookings as well. And 90% of us have reported an increase of more than 10%, and that's interesting during this time. And 78% of us are seeing more rhinoplasty, 69% of us are seeing more facelifts, more blephs, more neck lifts, and many of us are seeing a decrease actually in non-invasive procedures, including fillers. So that's really interesting, and that does contrast to what the American Society of Plastic Surgeons saw, and I think that's really interesting. What this tells me is actually that patients aren't looking for temporary fixes, they're looking for more long term solutions, and they aren't afraid of the downtime involved with surgical procedures. I think that also related to this decrease in fillers is from the reports of adverse effects like facial swelling in filler patients who get the COVID-19 vaccine. So that might play a role in that as well. So now I'm going to discuss some of the procedures that are seeing an increase, and I've broken them down in certain categories, and it's really dependent on how the patient presents to me. So, for example, the first one is periocular rejuvenation, and how patients are presenting to me is they're coming to me saying that this is the only part that's showing underneath my mask. All they can see are my eyes, and my eyes are looking tired or sad or angry, and I want to do something about that. So, periocular rejuvenation for me has included endoscopic brow lifts. I've been doing a ton of those with endotines, Foxeye, which is sort of a lateral brow lift, giving you sort of a more, instead of a very arched brow, it's more straight across. It's very in due to a lot of the social media stars like Bella Hadid. And one of those ways to achieve that is through thread lift. I do not like the thread lift as much just because of all the side effects that I've seen. So I like to do a lateral brow lift surgically. Also, upper and lower blepharoplasties have been really big, along with all the neurotoxins in the general area for the lateral canthal-rhytids, the corrugators, and the frontalis as well. Also, something to mention is in men, I've seen a significant increase in hair restoration requests, and I do believe it's because of, they're saying now you can't really see my face, all you see is my hair, and then also with the downtime involved with that. I would say actually not just men, I've seen an increase in hair restoration treatments in female patients as well. In my female patients, I find it to be more of, okay, I see my hair thinning out because of all this stress. And for me, I usually treat that not with necessarily a hair transplant procedure, but PRP, exosomes is really big right now, and minoxidil for women. Lower face rejuvenation. How patients are presenting to me is that they're saying, okay, well, now I have this time to recover because I have a mask and I can wear this mask to work and around. And so people can't see what's going on underneath. So, in that vein, lots and lots of facelifts, neck lifts, lip lift has been huge. I've been able to perform this procedure, say, late in the afternoon. And then my patients, many of them are physicians or other healthcare workers, they can go to work the next day wearing a mask and no one will know. And a lot of laser resurfacing, perioral rejuvenation, chemical peels in this area as well has been really big. But overall, people are feeling more confident about getting these procedures done because they can cover up and people won't know what's going on. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the Zoom boom because I think it's such an interesting phenomenon and it's very specific to 2020 and the pandemic. And patients are presenting to me because they say, I really hate how I look on camera. Again, unflattering angles, bad lighting, so many reasons why, and we're just not used to seeing ourselves in this light, and we're not able to really edit out or filter. So, really, really interesting. The sort of big sister to Zoom dysmorphia is Snapchat dysmorphia. This was first described, I believe, in 2016, and the AAF PRS actually first described it. And we've reported last year in 2019, 72% have said that a lot of their patients are seeking cosmetic procedures to improve their selfies. In 2020, also, same thing, 75% of surgeons were reporting that their patients are seeking to look better in their selfies. And that's up 33% overall since it was first reported in 2016. We do know that higher levels of engagement on social media have shown to correlate with increased body dissatisfaction. And I'll talk about this study coming up next. This study was published in JAMA Facial Plastic Surgery in 2019. And the question they were trying to answer is there an association between the use of social media and photo editing apps and self-esteem and attitudes towards cosmetic surgery? And this is what they found. They found that lower self-esteem scores were noted in participants who used YouTube, WhatsApp, VSCO, and Photoshop. So YouTube is the video application that I talked about. WhatsApp is a texting app. VSCO is photo editing, and Photoshop is also photo editing. They use different scales like a self-esteem scale and a self-worth scale and cosmetic surgery scale. And they also found an increased overall acceptance of cosmetic surgery in people who use Tinder, which is a dating application, and then Snapchat users. Snapchat is both social media in short form videos, and it also has some photo editing capabilities. Photo and video editing capabilities. And then there was also increased consideration of cosmetic surgery in people who use VSCO, the photo editing app, and then IG filters. So this is, again, very interesting information. I love how they broke it down, and it's just another way for us to prove that what we already found sort of intuitive. The Zoom dysmorphia, like I said before, is so specific to the pandemic in 2020. And that's, it affects how we view ourselves. And it's a number of reasons that are causing that. I would say webcams can cause significant distortion. I read somewhere that it can make your face look about 30% wider. So one of the tricks for this is what I do is kind of push the camera a little bit away from me, sit a little bit further back so it doesn't cause as much distortion. Poor lighting, again, it can highlight certain wrinkles, certain scars, and also the angle at which the camera is facing. Usually it's at a lower angle, so it's looking right up at your chin, which is not so flattering. And we're just not used to seeing ourselves in conversation, and we make, all these funny expressions that we're not used to seeing. Zoom does have a filtering capability now, and I just discovered it, but for a long time I was going unfiltered. And then lastly, the facial feedback hypothesis, which has already been studied for Botox and depression. And the theory is that if you look sad, then you'll feel sad. Or our emotions are very similar, and how you look plays into how you feel. And so I think that this may have some validity to it. I mean, if you're looking angrier than usual and you don't feel angry, you're going to want to do something about it. So, what procedures are these patients getting as a response to this Zoom dysmorphia? And neurotoxins have been really popular during this time, and it's really to correct this RBF, or resting bitch face, and it's to soften up the lines a little bit and look less angry or sad or tired. Skin resurfacing has been big. Patients are wanting to reduce their wrinkles and fine lines, um, acne, scars, sun damage, rosacea. So laser treatments have been really big. Chemical peels, microneedling has been huge. Again, as I was saying before, the unflattering angles when the camera is sort of turned down, facing up. The lower face looks not so great. It looks wide. You can see a turkey waddle. I'm getting a lot of patients asking for lower face contouring, even my younger patients. They're saying, I hate this double chin. I didn't even know that I had it. And it's as a response, we're doing submental liposuction, some buccal fat removal, jawline fillers to help contour. And as we look to the future, what's coming up next? What's happening in 2021 and beyond? I firmly believe that telemedicine and virtual consults are here to stay. I love that I can just wake up and roll over to my desk and see patients and see consults. So I've changed my practice around where one day a week I'm seeing all virtual consults. I find it really time efficient, cost efficient. I'm not sitting in traffic. Um, Again, very convenient, and I find it a very low pressure way for me to get to know the patients, for the patients to get to know me. And for the patients, a lot of times they're a little bit uh, overwhelmed or nervous about sitting in a doctor's office. So this is a way for them to talk to me in a more comfortable and relaxed setting at home. And it's a great way for us to pre-screen each other, both me as a surgeon and for the patient, for us to really decide if we're going to be a good fit. And if we do, then we can talk about what the next steps are in terms of scheduling an in-person consultation or going ahead and scheduling a surgery. And it's not just me. The survey of plastic surgeons in 2020, 64% of people said they saw an increase in telemedicine consultations, and 68% said they actually started seeing patients virtually because of COVID. And again, it's not just seeing consults. Also, I've been able to tailor my follow up. So, a lot of my follow ups are virtual now, or my pre ops are virtual now, especially since I'm seeing a lot of patients from out of the state, out of the country. This is a great way for us to be able to connect and keep in touch and follow up on their progress. And as we continue to evolve in our practices during this time, I really believe that leveraging technology and social media is going to be a great way for us to both gain new patients and connect and keep in touch with our existing patients. So, I'm looking into, for example, some communication technology that will allow text based communication, online scheduling, calling patients automatically to confirm appointments or cancel appointments. I think these tools are going to be really important to help decrease our cost. And also streamline communication a little bit better. And then, in addition, like I said before, the importance of social media um, for marketing, for building the brand, for maintaining sort of our identity to the world, I think is so important. And in order to keep doing that and to keep growing, you have to be consistent. Think about valuable content that your patients would like to read, and engage in a really meaningful way, meaning it's not so much, like I said before, metrics like how many likes or followers you have, but it's people who find your content that speaks to them and find a group of, friends or patients that you can engage with on a regular basis. And I think that it's not only good for your business, but it's also just good to be able to connect with other humans. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I look forward to your comments and feedback. Please follow me on these different platforms, or you can reach out to me through my website or my email. Thank you again. Take care.